I just thought maybe the odds would be against me to try and find growth here at this time, in the time that I wanted it. I want now. Let's move now. Let's make moves now. Why wait for later? Why try and say, okay, in 5 years, that's the target. Let's try now, and if it works, right? If it doesn't, you've got something to fall back on, come back home, and that was really how my thinking at the time. I didn't go college. I didn't go university. A lot of people look for that in paper. I didn't have that. So to be able to grow without that, I'm going to take every opportunity that I could.
You were one of the first people to get like a proper job after school, or even like during school.
Yeah,
technically.
It was very early. Yeah, literally.
Very early. And I think those kind of working experiences, they expose you to like people and how to deal with things, especially if you're in front line, like customer service or anything like that.
Absolutely.
Those like transferable skills are like so key. Me myself, I never got a retail job. I'm so upset that I never did, because it's something that I really, really wanted for some reason, just for the discounts, to be honest.
Yeah, but also fun.
And also fun. That's exactly, it's a key thing. Like instead of that, I was doing like waiter jobs, like around different football stadiums. But going back to your experience at Arsenal, so because you were there for quite a long time.
It was 8 years in total.
8 years in total. Like, what were you? I guess because you said before you weren't really certain about what you wanted to do. So for you, was that whole period just like trying to understand a little bit more about yourself and like what you wanted to do? Talk me through that.
I think it was my love for Arsenal. I mean, born. I don't even know who you support, but there's nothing unfortunate about supporting Arsenal. I think it was my love for Arsenal. Born and raised in Highbury as well, and to be honest, I never really had a role at first because the stadium was transitioning from Highbury to Emirates. I was 15. Turning 16 very soon, so I had the ability to start working. I'd received my national insurance, etc., and it was just experience, as I said, whether it be fun, learning how retail works, learning how the backroom works, learning how the club works, because a lot of the time I wouldn't be just in the store face, I'd be in the back rooms, I'd be doing things and understanding, okay, what's the process. A lot of people think they just go out on the pitch and they play. There's so much in the background that does that. That added to that. So just from then, and then like you said, you learn how to experience how to work with people, how to manage people, how to manage expectations at work, how to give yourself value in terms of earning money over time. Yeah, okay, I'll do that because money allows me to have more freedom to do more. Even at that age, whether it be like, okay, I'm going to get a more expensive lunch versus going to get a Tesco's meal deal. I valued those things a lot more. My mum always shopped in Waitrose and Marks and Spencer's, so not to look down at anyone who shopped in Tesco's, etc., but she always showed me the quality of food. So I always wanted to experience that when I was in my own working life, and that's something that drove me when I was there. And eventually I built friends. Probably some of my first friends, school friends, Javid joined me from a very young age, who's still there now, and he's evolved, and I just felt that, Arsenal was just a great experience to start with, especially because when you have a passion for something, it becomes something that you can sustain as well. A lot of people are in jobs or in careers where they don't necessarily like it. It doesn't thrill them. They don't wake up every day and say, oh yeah, can't wait to go to work, or knowing something different is going to happen at work. For me, it always was, whether it be even on a match day. It's a whole different experience, being there at the Emirates, a brand new stadium. And yeah, I think so. I mean, if that to answer the question.
So then with because you mentioned like enjoying where you go to work, were you also thinking it from perspective of like, I can progress in here at all?
That's the truth. I never thought that at all. Really? If I'm honest, it wasn't ever like, oh, one day I'm going to be on the board of Arsenal, hopefully. It was, young, 15, 16, 17, there's no tax in that first part of your bracket, and you're earning money, and I wanted to get a car. I didn't want to ever take bus or train anymore, winters are cold, summers can be cold too in different ways, and so that was my drive really, to just do as much as I could. And they needed me as much as I wanted to be there, which allowed me to earn enough money and then to build a foundation and to grow and do other things, like just hustle and just do different entrepreneurial things.
So then what about your love for tech then? Did you put it to the side whilst you were there?
To be honest, my love for tech wasn't ever really there at that point. It was in the sense of a career, it was just something, you know, we had phones. That's also tech, right? I was a bit of a gamer when I was younger. I'd have my PS1, my PS2, you know, Nintendo. So that is also part of tech to me, how I look at it. And that remained, I mean, even when I was there, all right, if I was in the store, a point of sale is tech. Right? Doing something in terms of printing for the players' shirts, that was also tech. So I still was able to use it, right? Seeing how different technology was used in the stadium amazed me, because I never had been in that environment before. On the back end of things, you see what everyone else does as a consumer versus at the back, you know, seeing where the commentators sit and things like this, you know, the microphones, the studio setups, etc. Those things are all like experiences all in one place. You know, how the technology infrastructure worked in a stadium of 60,000 capacity, and then having offices, having retail shops, having ticket offices. There's so many different things. So I acknowledged that during that time, but it wasn't like, oh, this is what I want to be, and this is where I'm striving to be in tech then.
Interesting. So, because it's funny you mention that, because it's so true about like the amount of operations that goes into game day, like all the people that work together. And when I was doing my research, I was looking at pictures from like Arsenal and like the team days, team away days, and you see all these people that you have no idea who they are, but it's all like the backroom staff, the backroom to the backroom staff, like the corporate. And it literally does take a team to build something like this. And it's funny, we'll move away from the topic of football, but like everyone's complaining about Man United, and they're complaining that
so they should.
And so they should, right? Like, because the infrastructure itself is bad, and that is bleeding onto the field itself. And I just wonder, like, how you can try and improve that. I guess it maybe is an overhaul.
You know, something I had this conversation yesterday when I was watching Match of the Day with my cousin, is that the dressing room is so important. Why? Because morale. You know, right? If you have bad morale, you don't have good team spirit. You don't gel together. I was at Arsenal when they were, you know, they just come from the back of winning the treble. You know, they had a strong team, they had money, they had a brand new stadium, like the first of its kind in London. You know, Emirates Stadium is a beautiful place. I think to now, I don't think there is any other stadium that kind of meets what it does, especially being in
Tottenham
the community.
Stadium. Tottenham Stadium is the best, let's be honest now.
We're in a podcast, so respectfully, I'm just gonna leave that there. I haven't visited myself, and nor would I ever. But from why, and also the surrounding community. You think like where it was positioned, and then Highbury became like a gym, a fitness first platinum. You know, it changed the area. You know, it brought it up a little bit. You know, it gave people different avenues, kids to go and see this amazing thing, and different. You know, so that was cool, you know, and right next to Holloway Road, you know, as well. Like, it's not necessarily a place where you have great sights to see, but, you know, Emirates did become that.
Yeah, okay. No, I hear that. So then when did you start, like, I don't want to say questioning, but like started thinking a bit more about what you wanted to do next? Was there a certain trigger point that made you start thinking?
Absolutely. I think as my time went on at Arsenal, my maybe attention and enjoyment had gone. You know, I'd spent, let's say, the first 5 years of being there consistently, whether it be full-time, sometimes part-time. They were very flexible in that sense. And then spending a lot of time with fans as well. I was going to away games. I had fulfilled my Arsenal experience. I'd had shirts signed. I'd met players. I'd helped players' families, you know, get what they need, you know, from a retail standpoint. I was supported in the boxes. I'd had family who'd come and work at Emirates Stadium. I'd had my close friend who'd been there with me at the same time. So I felt like I'd met everything that I needed at Arsenal, and then my attention started drifting, and to be like, okay, what's next? What do I do now? What are people doing, etc. And I think in that space I was lost. I shouldn't say lost. I hadn't found myself. I didn't know the direction I was going in. You know, a lot of my friends had been in the streets, so some may had been in prison. And also coming towards the end of that time, I'd lost a friend, you know, Andrew. And at that point in time, I realized, okay, now I need to go and get a career. I can't be in this middle space, you know. I can't be waking up and there's not much going on. I wasn't into fitness at that point in time. I wasn't going gym. You know, you wake up, you go gym, you have a good day, etc. I wasn't doing that. And I think that's when I realized, okay, now I need to get myself on a pathway to do right by me, to do right by my family, and to do what is best for me. And that's when I kind of tried to apply for very junior entry level tech roles, and I'd had a little bit of work experience at school in tech at a law firm. And I think that helped me a lot to get into it. You know, it's actually very crazy. We spoke about Arsenal. When I went for my interview for the role, my first tech role full time, I went in and it was their summer party. Mm-hmm. So no one was dressed formally. I came in, you know, baggy suit, wasn't tailored. I was ready. I was like, yeah, this is going to be very formal. I got in the interview room. There was 2 guys there, very of an East End Cockney type, you know, character. And one of them had a tattoo across his arm and it said Arsenal. And they just had their like lunch, yeah, and it's summer party day. So it's not really work day. Yeah. You know, this is a social day, for team building day to an extent. And he said, Arsenal, yeah, hired, start Monday. Like that? That's it was on a Friday and I started on Monday. Wow. So, you know, even up to now, I'm very grateful. Shout out to Mike that I was given that opportunity, because that then led on to Dubai as well. But he gave me an opportunity, and whilst I didn't have the experience, etc., when he gave me that, I wanted to prove myself. I wanted to prove that I could do it. My first job that I got sent out to do from the tech world, I remember I went in there, I had my headset on and I put YouTube on and I fixed something in terms of hardware from that. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything, and I'm very grateful for that, you know, that first step onto the ladder to be able to start my career, and then realizing how much I love it and how many different departments there are in tech. And something I say now, tech is always evolving every day as we speak. It's evolving, right? So there was something new every day, different teams doing different projects, and I was very much on the project side of things, whether I'd be helping on the software like deployment or development or hardware, and then at night I then took on an overtime role called On Call. And I took that role because basically they gave me a phone and they said, when this phone rings, you have to go and fix something. And I thought it was a good opportunity for them to learn more outside of my working hours, then also earn more money, and then to build my career. And that year of 2011, I worked 364 days. Oh, wow. Doesn't necessarily mean a full day shift, but there was days that I was off and I got called in, absolutely without fail, even Christmas Eve, and being away from the family. But I was growing in my career. I was showing hard work, determination. I was meeting different people in different departments. My name was starting to, I know Lemal. Oh, I know Lemal. That's great. That's the only way I saw that there was growth, and that's when I started to see growth within a company, and seeing that one day, you know, this guy, he started off as an engineer, now he's sitting on the other department over there, and people are like, oh, have you seen his watch? Or, oh, yeah, they're going to, his team are going to France on a team building day. Meanwhile, we're going down Shoreditch. That's where I saw, okay, I want to be like this guy. I want to do what this guy does, or I like that, you know. And then I started to see, okay, there's room for potential. And then I just kept at it. A fun thing is that I got to go to different client sites. So I met so many different people, different nationalities. Technology, you could have female, male, black, white, Asian, all in the same team, working on the same project. And then I saw collaboration, you know, things like that, project management, etc. And then from there just kept on growing and growing. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. There's so many different points of your story that I want to pick up on. I think even the first bit is like the interview piece. And I always like have to remind myself and say to other people, it's when you can get past the questions and have a relationship or just have a conversation with someone, then it can make such a difference. And like sometimes it's like, it's not what your CV says. Sometimes you just have to meet the person. Absolutely. And I think if that guy just went off the basis of your CV, nothing would happen. But he had the belief in you and that you would actually grow and smack it out of the park. And you didn't prove him wrong. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that's key. Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. I mean, I've met people who are academically Oxford, Cambridge with no character. Yeah. You step into like a big meeting, whether you're on the board or it's an executive meeting, and you're able to put everything down on paper, and then someone asks your conversation, a question, and you're in a conversation, and then you can't relate to them in any sense apart from work. doesn't necessarily differentiate you. So how do you stand out?
Yeah.
How do you stand out?
You got to be relatable, man.
Absolutely.
You got to be relatable, not always talk about work.
Especially in the corporate world.
Agreed,
Especially, you know, from whether you're at the standing to wait to get a coffee, do you sit there in silence while someone else is, or do you speak on something? It doesn't have to necessarily be small talk, like, oh, how's the weather today? Or there's going to be something that with everyone that we can align on. We read fashion, everyone has a hobby, music, you know, how's the project going, you know, just conversation. And I think I learned that from Arsenal. You know, with the customer service, talking to people, chanting to find a voice in myself. I was a very introvert person when I was younger. Arsenal definitely brought that out in me. And then having the confidence to go into somewhere new. Okay, yeah, it was corporate, but it was tech. So not as corporate as, you know, other companies be like financial sector, you know, and like I was in trade floors before when I worked at this company, and it was very formal, but there's also people there who had already been on millions at, let's say, 21, 22. There's also going to be something that we can, you know, I have a French name. I remember it very clearly, and I went to go and help someone in a French team, and everyone was like, be very careful, this team, you know, they're not very polite, etc. It's like, Lemal. And then my middle name's French and my last name's French as well, Antoine Pierre. Struck a conversation from that. I remember like maybe a week later we was having a drink at lunch. And, you know, it's just finding ways to relate. And like you said, not everything has to be on paper, right? Being a human, I really believe in that.
That's a good point.
Believe in being a human and being able to just converse and just be yourself. Don't try and be who you think they want you to be. Because when it really actually gets to the crunch, like, you're going to have to be someone else.
That's a good point, because when you came into the place, like, you were working at a disadvantage in the sense that you didn't have all the experiences that they expected. And you mentioned, like, they're sending you somewhere and you're literally on YouTube, like, trying to figure it out. So I guess what gave you the confidence to not be scared to make a mistake? And, like, what also was that kind of battery in your back that was pushing you to work all those hours around the clock?
I think the confidence was definitely the guys who hired me, because they had faith in me. And that also gave me drive to not let them down. Like, you're part of our team and I'm going to do what's best. And also I learned, I think in life, that you do make mistakes, but it's about communication. If there's a chance that you can fix a mistake before, you know, it's all said and done, communicate that. Whereas, you know, sometimes people in life, they'll make an error and then try and brush it under the rug. Whereas there might be someone else who can, and that happened quite often. I'd maybe not necessarily do something wrong, but something wasn't working. You have a team. There's people, right? Pick up the phone. Don't be shy. Okay, you see that this person works in software development. You can identify it's not a software issue because you fixed that. You can identify it's a software issue because you fixed the hardware side of things, and that was the issue which was at hand. They're able to help, and that helped a lot.
Got it. Yeah. And then what was driving you as well?
Money.
Yeah,
I'll never deny that. You know, money is definitely not in the sense that, oh, I want all the money to spend all the money. It was just that I knew money created freedom to be able to do what you want. You know, like I said, I like to eat. I like to spend money on good food. I like to dress nice. I like to keep groomed. You know, all these things cost money. You have bills to pay. I didn't want my mother paying for my bills, you know, for the rest of my life. And from then is growth. You know, you become an adult. You realize that, you know, money is freedom. Yeah,
money is freedom for sure. And imagine if you're working all them hours, the money is looking good then as well.
Oh, the tax man was present because I'd already finished that bracket. So now I'm in, you know, a salary earning bracket where he can come and take some money. And I think that drove a lot as to where my next move was, you know, to no longer be in the UK.
Okay, so the next move was straight to UAE.
So I was there for 3 years. I'd built my experience, and they had grown as a company as well very quickly. And they did open up operations in Dubai, and I believe some other places in the Middle East as well. And I just remembered that I just got an email and it just said, you know, these vacancies were there. It was something very close to my role. And again, having such supportive leadership in my team as well, you go for it.
So it was an internal move?
Yeah, go for it. He said, go for it. I didn't get it twice. Twice I didn't get it. The guy that they sent out there the second time, going back on our last point, he wasn't able to fit into the team there. And when you're out in a place like Dubai, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, you have to be part of a team, otherwise you're secluded.
Yeah.
And it's not going to work. And he didn't fit in that sense. He came back. Do you want to go for it? Went for it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what was going through your head when you were applying? Like, because it was a case of, you had your missus at the time,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So how were you like mentally preparing yourself in terms of moving out there? And even how did you keep on bouncing back from getting rejected?
You know what it was? It's just a matter of like, if you don't get it, I'm still at work.
Yeah.
I'm still at work. I still have my job, you know, and again, having the leadership behind you, you still got your role. If you apply, doesn't mean you're not trying to leave our company to go elsewhere. You're trying to, you know, move to a different location. And just thought, what's the harm in continuing to apply? And yeah, just continued. And when I was applying for it, I wasn't thinking anything of it, to be honest, compared to when even when I landed, even when I started working there, still didn't think anything of it, to be honest, like in the sense of what was my thinking. I just went with it.
Yeah.
I just went with it. Like I said, I just lost my friend at 21, you know, murdered. And UK, I'm looking for a career. It's very populated here, right? You go into a company, maybe one job role, 100 people apply. Chances can tend to be slim. I also had the mentality that I'm also young and black. At that time, crime rate was high. I mean, it consistently stays high generally in UK compared to other countries. And I just thought maybe the odds would be against me to try and find growth here at this time in the time that I wanted it. I want now. Let's move now.
Yeah.
You know, let's make moves now. Why wait for later? Why try and say, okay, in 5 years, that's the target. Let's try now. And if it works, right? If it doesn't, you've got something to fall back on, come back home, you know, and that was really how my thinking at the time.
Because did you have like a vision that you're working towards, or again, just like money?
No, it wasn't. It was just to come out of the environment.
Yeah.
You know, to come out of London City. I'd also done that, you know, for 3 years, and being in Holborn and seeing what city life was. And again, they sent me to different clients, and whether it be like trade banks or whether it be even down to like government establishments, they all work very differently. I felt I had experienced it all.
Yeah.
I've never experienced something in Dubai. I hadn't even gone on holiday there. Then it wasn't a thing how it is now. When we think about it, they just come out of the financial crisis then. And not everyone was like, oh, let's go to Dubai, let's go to Dubai. It wasn't a holiday destination necessarily to the mass.
Yeah.
But I knew there was a lot of advantage to it. It was sunny. I didn't realize it gets that hot, to 50 degrees, you know, during the summer. It was a safe place, which was key when you relate back to what had just happened in my life. And also it was tax-free. So there was opportunity. And as I mentioned to you, I worked 360 so days.
You're doing the numbers in your head.
And so the tax man was coming, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't trying to avoid him. I just don't see why I'm paying it.
Yeah.
I'm also driving down the road and there's a pothole. Where's the tax money going? No, seriously,
It's
you
true,
know,
it's true,
that's
it's
how
true.
that's the mentality I took from that age.
Yeah.
What I couldn't see what taxes were doing for me, the health system, you know, road tax. It just, where is it going? To maybe there's a country who doesn't tax you and they have everything sorted, because they have money, because they've established their finance and wealth, you know, from heritage and from what they've developed. And I saw it there, and that's why I've never looked back.
Yeah, yeah. It's always been one of those destinations. Even for me, I'm thinking like spending some time out there, like a few years. But I don't know, the way people sell it is like it's something you do for a few years and then come back after a while. Because
I said that.
That's what you said. Because it's like, although you can make a lot of money, it can also be quite restrictive in terms of the freedoms that you have. So for you, and you said that, but you've been there for like 10 years now. So I guess, what was your mentality going in there? Was it, you're going to go in, make your money, come back? Or were you thinking, I'm actually going to stay and try and grow for this company?
It wasn't so I'm going to make my money and come back. It was more so, okay, I'd left my siblings, my parents, my family, my culture, which I didn't see any of that when I arrived. You know, I'm Black Caribbean. And to go there and not have any of that, you know, I couldn't have curry goat, I couldn't have oxtail, there was no rice and peas, I didn't even at that point know there was plantain there. It's named something different. And those little things, music, I used to get, my family's Catholic, so times like Easter, when they get together, Good Friday, etc., days like that I really missed here.
Yeah.
So even in the first year. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to be here for this period of time and then leave. But also the country evolved. I evolved. I saw a lot more happening. I saw a lot more potential, the growth of whether it be in Korea. It was, 18 months in and I left that company. I got headhunted by one of their clients.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Was it easy to move over?
Well, they had a thing then called a ban, like a visa ban. So basically, that if you did do that, like you jump ship, because you have to think the company incurs visa costs, you know, your accommodation costs. That's how it's formulated for an expat over there. And but when the company, if they're paying you over a certain X times your salary, they can't impose that. And the new company was. So it was very easy to transition over.
Oh, nice.
I felt bad because it's like I'm stealing a lot of business and services that they had. But the company wanted someone in-house. They'd been present in the Middle East for nearly 56 years with no tech guy. They'd done it all remotely, or someone had flown in from UK or Europe. Now they wanted someone, and they saw that in me. I was able to fit. It was, you know, and yeah.
So I'm gonna dig into that. Before we get into that, like, talk to me a bit more about like the packages when you go out there, because you mentioned there's like accommodation costs. So all of this is covered by the company, the sponsoring company.
Absolutely, and not now, not so much as that is the law. But however, as an expat, your package, as it's called, has to include a minimum amount or ratio to be able to say, okay, listen, you earn X as your base salary, then X as your housing allowance, and then X for other things, whether it be schooling, etc. That was very much how it was back then. Now it's changed because Dubai is, I mean, UAE as a whole is a global hub for expats. You know, there's the population of expats is a lot more than locals. And so not all companies offer that anymore, neither is it a legal requirement, but there is a ratio you have to meet to say, right, this is what you're given as housing allowance, this is what you're going to give as your base salary. And if you choose to accept it, then it's your choice.
Is it, so would you say that it's becoming more like open, there's more opportunities out there?
Absolutely, there's more every day. But those kind of salaries that were given back then are not necessarily given now. Because now they have more people to choose from.
It's true.
And different nationalities. You know, when I think about tech, when I was out there in the UK, it was a variety of nationalities, I said, that worked in tech. But over there, when it came to hardwares, engineering, etc., a majority of people came over from Asia because they were happy with a lower salary. Yeah. Right. And, you know, UAE was able to see that market and able to accommodate for it, whether it be building housing infrastructure for them, you know, at a certain price that was able to accommodate for someone who's going to accept that level of housing allowance and salary. So, yeah.
So I was listening to a podcast last week where they're talking about how they have a lot of like provisions for people who are on the lower rated salary, like accommodation and things like that. But although they may be given, say, all the basics, there's still not much like movement upwards, like upward mobility.
To be honest, I couldn't speak on that, and I'm not knowledgeable if that is the case. But what I say is that there's less freedom. Because when you think about it, in some of these companies, they would hire, let's say they hire 1,000 people. They fly in. Let's say there's an architectural project, and they all live in the same place. They all work in the same place, and the transportation is in the same place. So their working hours is the same. So they tend to just be together and don't see anything outside of what they're doing, their work. Yeah. A lot of people send money back home to their families. That's quite a common thing over there. For me, that wasn't the case. You know, I was able to then be able to, I mean, the first year I was there, I wanted to travel. That was my goal, to be able to see Asia. Whereas when you're in UK, you kind of see Europe. I saw the Caribbean. I thought America, Asia was never something that was on my agenda. And when I first went there, you know, that's something that I did. And I feel like people who are in those positions of a lower salary or have a package where the company controls their freedom or the hierarchy per se, they don't get to see that, they don't get to do that because they're providing for people back home.
And it's even like you said, they can feel that sense of guilt as well. If the company is giving them so many different perks, like why would I throw this away to chase something which is not necessarily guaranteed?
And they also maybe have the opportunity to buy back home, etc. You know, converting the money. You think about the exchange rate, they could turn, you know, 100 dirhams into maybe 4 times fold their money, whereas it wasn't really like that for here.
So and then on that topic of like say guilt, so you mentioned you felt bad about taking an opportunity from the next company. How was the conversation, well, when you handed in your resignation at the current place?
I think it was I mean, I've worked in a corporate background for a while, and just when you formally communicate something, it is what it is.
So you didn't. There was no like, because I guess sometimes you might have like a mentor or some type of tight relationship with one of your like superiors.
Because I was at the client site, it made it easier.
I see.
So I didn't necessarily have to see. I didn't have a team. My team was in being at the client site.
Got it.
I just had to know where I was going, and that was the place I was every day. So I handed in my notice from their office. You know, and there was no guilt in that. You know, we all have to evolve. I'm sure if the person above me or who's in leadership, they got an opportunity to progress very rapidly in that way. You're gonna take it.
Yeah.
Who am I holding back for?
Yeah.
I'm here for me. You know, I'm here for my family. You know, I'm here to progress, to do better in life. You know, so.
Yeah, especially such a sick opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. And again, it's a lot about taking that mindset of, okay, someone gave me an opportunity. I came from a place where I felt like maybe opportunities wasn't given as much for, you know, my race, from my background, even down to the school that, you know, went to. You know, you say, okay, I went to a school from Islington versus, okay, I went to a school in Westminster.
Yeah.
You categorize people in that way as well. I didn't go college. I didn't go university. A lot of people look for that in paper.
Yeah.
I didn't have that. So to be able to grow without that, I'm going to take every opportunity that I could.
So when you're working so hard, right, and you've moved out there with your partner, like, did you feel that you weren't able to spend enough time with her as well?
No,
So
because I feel the quality of the lifestyle and money as well to be able to enhance that lifestyle. The experiences that you did have together were more valuable. They're not experiences that you do every day. Maybe, hey, you'd go out for a dinner, you go out for a drink, seeing the world over there, you know, maybe take a trip to somewhere we've never been.
Yeah, I love that.
It's a desert.
Yeah.
It was a desert. And now it's just a place, you know, it's a monopoly of things. And even at that time, there was at first, I mean, something very small. I remember my welcoming party was in a club, which they had here in London in Mayfair. And I went there, but the experience of that club versus here is completely different. Customer service, everything's flamboyant in Dubai, you know, everything has to be done on a higher scale. So everything you did, it felt, you know what I always say to people, it feels like when people say Arabian Nights, you get that Aladdin, you know, majestic feel in your head. You hear it actually gives that. It actually offers that. It's a beautiful place at night, you know, and when you finish work, here, place is closed, 7 o'clock, doors shut, you know. I remember I tried to go to a supermarket yesterday, 4 o'clock, no, 4:01. You can't. I forgot about that. It's been so long. I think I'm going to pop out to get some yogurt. No, you're not. Whereas in UAE, you can get something 24 hours.
Yeah.
And that's always been the case, you know, to be able to provide and deliver to the consumers. And, you know, so there wasn't, you know, nothing you couldn't do out there.
But it seems like your adjustment was very, very easy. Were there any challenges like adjusting?
There's always challenges.
What were the challenges for you, would you say?
You know, I was traveling from Dubai to Abu Dhabi, so the client was in Abu Dhabi, which is about an hour and a half away from Dubai. So I was doing that every day in a car. And the company car that they gave me at first was a Nissan Micra. Yeah, I had a nice car here, may I say. It was a Nissan Micra. It's like a 1.1. I'm sure that doesn't even exist, but that's what it felt like. You put your foot down and it's not going nowhere. Yeah. The speakers were awful. I remember one day I got my Beats pill. I connected it to the aux to try and get some in-car system because I'm making that commute every day. I can't hear tinny sound because I love music. Like, I'm not trying to take that drive. And I didn't know about the etiquette in the roads, about the fast lane, etc. We don't necessarily have that here. We have a fast lane, but it's not like if you're in the fast lane. I remember my first week, they have very big 4x4s over there, and I'm in this Nissan Micra 1.1. It feels like it's got one door. I'm not moving anywhere, but I feel my foot's all the way down. You got this big 4x4 behind, and it's coming. It's just knocking me.
Literally hitting you?
Literally just like, get out the way, flashing. This car's up here, the headlights are right in my vision. It's just flashing. It's bumping my car constantly. Yeah. That was a challenge. Learning from that, you know, learning how to evolve, you know. Of course I'm going to lower my costs. I'm not going to buy my own car if my company's giving me one. And then eventually, you know, that changed. That was a challenge for me. Learning that I don't speak Arabic. Whilst there were international languages that were spoken there, quite commonly either I was mistaken to be speaking Arabic, or people didn't quite understand my accent as someone who spoke English. And people say I speak very like good English or have a bit of a London accent, whereas they may have not experienced that before. So language barrier had also been a challenge at some points, not necessarily with work, but outside of work.
Yeah.
Maybe dry cleaners, maybe finding a barbers is a challenge. A challenge. How do you go from somewhere for 21 years and then find someone that you can trust with your hairline? That was a challenge. So, just life challenges, nothing on the grand scale of anything, just adapting to a new environment and community, settling in. And it took some time for that.
Yeah. And then when you went into the other organization, so you said it was a promotion, new team. So again, you just had that feeling of like, okay, they put faith in me. I just have to go for it now and just smash it out.
Yeah.
Because you were quite young. You came there regional head
I
of
was
technology.
22 when I moved to that next role.
Yeah.
I was 21 when I arrived. And that was my role then for 8 years after. I mean, I grew within the company, but that was the company that I was with for 8 years. And it was a great company. It was an international company. There was room for progression. They had career development as well. I never really had that experience at the prior company. My career development was via me. No one, but there they had guidance on that. Leadership was saying, okay, we can see maybe this is your path. And at a point down the line, they said, well, we actually think you're good at tech, but you've done it. Why don't you focus now on the business side of things when it comes to tech?
Yeah.
And that's where I really found my place.
So they're really like actively showing you where you should go next and stuff like that.
Like how do you fit in the business? An international company, they had over 25 offices globally. Yeah. I, as someone as the leader of the Middle East, would had to communicate with the person from Europe, from America, and we very often collaborated and did projects together. And there was the CTO, the Chief Technology Officer, was based in New York, and he would be able to identify the strength of his leadership team and be able to, and also he was actually from the UK, funny enough, all the way in New York, supported West Ham. There was a common ground again, football. Yeah. Got on very well. Had gone over to New York many times to meet him in work, social level. Okay, these are your strong points, these are your weak points, guidance. And I'm quite grateful that in life I've had good leadership because some people don't. Some people complain, oh, my manager, I never say manager. I don't know if you know this. I don't ever say leadership.
What makes a good leader?
Someone who's part of a team, guidance, someone who's going to put their work in and you're going to see that they're trying, and someone who believes in you. I think that's, and those are traits I've taken from both the two people, I feel that had been in leadership when I was working.
Because I feel like the leadership piece, because there's a difference between like managing and leading, and a lot of like people leaders just manage, so they know how to do the day-to-day well, but not necessarily know how to like find what motivates you, find what kind of drives you. And I think sometimes all it takes is just a conversation. Time as well. But I think if you should put the time aside, because it's going to make things better. I feel like if you are delegating tasks, like I'll never forget this, when I first started people leading, and I had one direct report, then I had two direct reports. And my thing for them was like, how do you get them better as much as possible? So I used to give them loads of work, and by me giving them loads of work, then it gives me less things that I have to do, and then I can focus on more strategic things. Then as a team, we just get better.
Absolutely.
But then other managers in my team never saw it like that. They saw it as me, I was just loafing, when really I was like trying to help them level up in their career, and also for myself level up and do the things that I want to do.
Mindset.
And it's all about mindset. Like not many people, I don't know if they're scared of what their direct reports becoming better than them, but I think that's the whole point. Like you want them to be better than you, you know?
Yeah, they try to cap people.
Yeah, and I think that's dead.
Yeah, but I feel like in the UK you have that because again, there's so many numbers, right? For one job role, you have so many people trying to achieve the same thing in different sectors. Yeah. Whereas where I felt over there was more opportunity to say, okay, well, there are, but why, and also why would we go externally if we've, someone has had growth internally, and those leaders are able to take the best out of those people, like you said, to then make their life efficient. Like you said, a conversation, so helpful. Once a week we had a call. Yeah. Someone who I know who's extremely busy took an hour out of a day to just have a chat. The first 15 minutes might not be about work, but it helps. You build a relationship. You be able to get the best out of. If I had a problem, maybe I'll say I'm overwhelmed at the moment. And it came to a point at that in my career. I just had my daughter, I was overwhelmed. There was projects left, right, and center. The company was growing from not just Dubai and Abu Dhabi, or Abu Dhabi to then Dubai, and then the rest of the Middle East. And at that point, I was a one-man team in the Middle East. I had to communicate honestly. I am overwhelmed. I am not working. I never ever say that I work a 9 to 5 in Korea, because I don't believe in a 9 to 5. If you have to go above and beyond, if you have to be responding to emails at 7, 8, 9, get it done. That's how I believe.
So you're like, you don't mind if it takes over your life?
No, it doesn't necessarily. If it's something that's going to take over my life and I'm physically not there, that's different. It started to take over my life when I had my daughter. Things were building up. He then had an open conversation with me. He said, create a team. Give me a business justification as to why you require a team and how things can be more efficient and things can operate better, etc. Give me, I mean, in the tech world and other worlds, you have things like SLAs, OLAs, etc. How can we achieve these targets and improve? And his focus was that globally as well. So then if I was able to do that in the Middle East, and then I managed to get someone, who worked below me, and I delegated those tasks that I didn't necessarily have the time for as much, or wasn't my priority, but could be theirs because they were technically able to do so. And, that was a big change for me.
That's awesome. And is that how you're able to get to that level of like regional head of the region kind of thing?
Absolutely, yeah.
What do you think also made you stand out rather than them hiring? Because I hear stories about how people have been promised, say, this certain position, but then they end up hiring someone from outside. So what made them, I guess, believe in you rather than trying to get more experience? Relationships.
Yeah, relationships. I had to build, part of a global team as it was, but I just feel like I'd just taken that through life all the way. From, even if you really look at it, you take it back to school, how many different nationalities did we have in school?
Yeah, true.
When you look back at it, a big population in the UAE is Filipino. When you look back,
is it?
Yeah, very big. When you look back when we was at school, there was also
many Filipinos, yeah,
right, Caribbean, black, white, everything. Anything that you could think of, Asian, and you can relate in different ways. And it's just being a people person. There was the person who was like the top of the company, right, top of the hierarchy in the Middle East. I'm not going to be any different apart from ensuring that you're a priority to me, but I'm also going to be me. I kept that with me throughout the whole time of working in corporate. Like I said, it's a very hot country. Not every day I was dressed in suit and tie. But when I had meetings or I knew there was something formal going on in the office, I would. The other times, I remember the first time I wore short sleeves. I've had half sleeves and full sleeves since I was young. People maybe looked at me in a different light then, but I stood strong to know I'm still me. And when you realize that I'm still me, then I'm going to be able to achieve what I want within this company, that you're going to believe in me. And it worked,
You've got a strong sense of like being comfortable with who you are, and like safety in that knowledge, like regardless of what people might say or what they might believe. Where do you think that comes from?
School. If I'm honest, school. You spend so much time when you're young trying to fit in. Me personally, I believe, who's cool, what's popping, what's going on, And I learned that a lot of that never really got me anywhere. Necessarily, I had experiences, but was that me? Or was I trying to fit to who was cool? Or, what was good? Who was making money? Like, how about I go down my own lane? And I just really stuck to that. I'm not only child from my mum. I have siblings as well, through my father. But I had to spend a lot of time alone. Gives you a lot of reflection time, gives you time to channel your own thoughts and channel your own visions, and to be able to say, okay, this is who I want to be. And I think once I established that, I saw it, given that part of me got the best out of other people, which then got the best out of me. So if I stuck with that philosophy through life, even up to today, I don't treat anyone differently at this point in life that I'm at. If it was someone who was a cleaner versus a CEO, no different.
Yeah.
I could become the CEO of the cleaning company one day. And it's not in that regards that you should treat them the same. It's just that have respect, I spoke about being a human, just being normal, being yourself. And that's where I find comfort. Peace is my ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Peace and freedom. I feel you can't achieve those things if you are not within, so, and that's what I try to live by.
Yeah. I really love that.
Thank you.
Especially at that senior level where it's easy to try and fit a mold of someone who you're not. But like you said, if they've given you the opportunity, they've given it to you for a reason. And you can't pretend to be somebody else, man.
You can't, because then you end up failing. You know, it's like telling a lie to yourself. You always say you get caught up in your own web of lies, right? So imagine then, okay, I was then like head of technology, and then I was trying to be someone else I wasn't, and then I became regional head of technology, and I was just acting out of character. It wasn't me. I was trying to be bossy. I was trying to tell the person who I just recruited, do this, do that. That's not me as a person. I don't want someone to tell me that. Because then I'll be looked at as a manager. Remember I spoke to you earlier, I said earlier, a lot of people say they don't like managers.
Yeah.
Right? Telling them what to do. Nah. My parents have told me what to do my whole life, you know, and they have the right to. Other than that, I don't want to be that person, or I don't want someone to be that person to me. So being that way, I found to be able to find balance, you know, in that.
Got it. So how do we get from like doing that because you were crazy successful in that career and you're moving up the ranks? So I guess what made you decide to go down the entrepreneurship route and start with music, start Spectrum Entertainment and things in that nature?
If I'm honest, I'd hit a peak as to where I was in that company in the region. And one of the things is that on paper, I didn't have a degree. I didn't have a master's or anything like that. And I had no interest in it at the time. But then for me to then be able to go from a regional head of technology to maybe someone like a CO or CTO, to get those kind of titles, etc., or to go to a different company who are going to then look at maybe, okay, there's experience backed by academics, in which I felt I was at that level now. Okay, all right, we know he's done great in this company, but maybe that company don't know what they're doing. But if he has it on paper, then there's a bit more weight on this.
Yeah.
So I then wanted to then go and do my master's in strategic technology management. I enrolled, I left the company, and COVID came. And I just didn't necessarily have the motivation to continue with my master's. I actually enrolled in it. It was paid for. It was online based here in the UK. And it would, in theory, it would have been a perfect time, right? Downtime. You're able to study. But I hadn't been in something academic for such a long time. And even then, when I was in academic, I wasn't there. Like, that wasn't my thing. I remember you was someone who was, you know, thriving. And, you know, you took your lessons seriously. You had to do what you had to do. You don't see you hanging around and, you know, you go to A to B and that was that. And that wasn't where I was. And that wasn't where I had been for such a long time. And I thought, I don't want to go to a company where I may end up having a manager. So let me grow personally. I'm in a space where I can perhaps take some time off. I told you I'd been very busy with work. Now maybe be more involved in my family. But then COVID came. Unfortunately, I lost 2 of my uncles during that time.
Sorry to
and just before I had left the UK, so every December I come over, my father gave me a deck, controllers, so I DJ deck. And like maybe 2 weeks into COVID, I remember this there. I thought, you know what, nothing's going on. We had proper lockdown over there. There was alarms going off at 7, whereas I know like here, you could kind of be a bit, you could be about, like there was no being about there. Police was, you know, they were doing street sanitization, so there was government officials out. It was, and I live in a building where they would enforce that policy. And also I wanted to protect my family and vice versa. They weren't going out. It was in a bubble, right? At the time. And especially because I'd lost, you know, family. And also one of my uncles was critically in hospital. So I felt COVID was a real thing, you know, in terms of a health. And it was, right? You know, sadly, a lot of people had lost their life and people had lost their family. So I had this controller there. I thought, let me give it a try. Brought me back to doing something on my laptop, to be like tech involved at home. I can't be sitting there gaming. I have a daughter who was at the time maybe 4 or 5, and I'll sit there like playing PlayStation all day. So I thought once she'd gone to bed, let me play some music. Got into it, liked it, and then I think around that time Twitch came a thing because everyone was streaming.
Everyone's at home.
Because everyone's at home, and one of our school friends actually started going live and he was DJing. Shout out to Jesse.
Oh, it was on Twitch?
Yeah, he did it from Instagram. So when Instagram started to allow lives as well during that time, and whilst he played a different genre of music that he played like, let's say on a Friday evening and I'm at home, nothing going on, but it was house and it was a nice vibe. I thought, you're all the way over there in London and I'm here and I'm actually vibing. Like, I'm enjoying this. So something I decided to do, I said, let me do it for my family. Show them what I've done, like, you know, good quality music. I love old school R&B, dancehall, reggae, etc. So I told my family, look, here's the Twitch link. I'm going to do it every week. We don't know when this COVID thing's ending. I'm here. It's something I'm going to do. And I did it one day, and I think there was about 50 people who joined, like friends and family, internationally from St. Lucia.
I think I joined one of them, actually.
Perhaps.
I think I did, yeah.
Perhaps, yeah. No, I'm just at home, you know. It's just a Friday night. I had it all set up. Amazon is a thing over there as well. So I was able to order all the equipment and things that I needed to be able to stream, and that gave me a bit of tech things to do. Got set up, make sure the sound's right, etc. And then from then I played, and it was like, this is good. But it's uplifting my family during this hard time, and also for me as well. And then I remember my sister specifically said, why don't you do it? And I'm like, I can't be DJ. I was just a regional head of technology. Like, when am I going to start DJing? Yeah. When does COVID end? You know, can't be my thing, you know. So I continued with it, but then also I thought, you know what? My headspace not in this master's. Let me start applying for jobs again. So I did a few temp roles in between then, like project management, just to keep me going, you know, things that were able to be done remotely. And then I did a project management role, and then I continued to DJ. Then the world started opening up again. My family and we traveled. We went to Santorini. We'd gone to Maldives, and during these times, I took my controller with me. It was very light. I just thought, and so then playing in different locations, you know, by the pool, not public pool, but a private pool, like in my own space for my family, and music is uplifting. I realize that, and I realize that even more so now, going through that time, and then where it's taken me now. And then from there, I said, all right, how do I do this here in the UAE? There's a market for it. UAE is pretty much like Las Vegas at the moment, you know, or prior to COVID. And they had plans to make a city in UAE, like it's called Ras Al Khaimah, that is going to be like Las Vegas. They set the foundations of the first casino there. And this is a country that has Sharia law.
I heard that,
So the evolution of business and entertainment is really here now. It's coming. You know, we're seeing international artists, seeing DJs from all over the world there. I'm now seeing my own culture. And at that time, I remember a Caribbean restaurant opened up in Abu Dhabi. And just after COVID came, and I went there. I went to eat with my family. I'm like, told them, I'm a DJ. Like, if you ever want, yeah, sure. Fair enough. They reached out to me. You know, was there.
Was it a paid opportunity? The first one,
a paid opportunity. Actually, my first paid opportunity was somewhere that I spent at a 5-star hotel where I DJed on the rooftop for New Year's Eve. So coming out of COVID, all my family flew over. They came over to Abu Dhabi, and on New Year's Eve, they were there on this rooftop, and I played, and that was an amazing experience.
How did that happen? How did that deal come about?
I'd been going to that club and bar and hotel prior, and the opportunity arrived. You know, I kept on going to club manager. You know, like, give me a chance. You know, like, you've seen me. You know who I am. Like, give me a chance. I'm not asking for much, and it happened. And actually, a lot of my growth happened in that space. But also a lot of things I learned was in that space. A lot of challenges I had was in that space. But it was the first place that I really built a long-standing relationship with. And then, so from a community standpoint, I was involved in the Caribbean side of things, and I started to meet Caribbean people. I've been there for nearly 7-8 years. I haven't met anyone of the same culture as me. Then started to meet them in Dubai as well. And then, you know, my space grew. Afrobeats became something that was very prominent. I loved the music. It was like a cross, and then between like sometimes R&B and Afro music, and then house. There's a lot of fusions in between it. Then Amapiano came, and then the growth of music and community then allowed me to grow in that space. I liked it. It's something that I hadn't felt I had for a long time. The only community I was involved in is my daughter's school, like amongst parents and work. because that's what I was doing. You know, I have friends, and that's my small social circle, but I wasn't someone who was out there always looking for new things. You know, and then, you know, it gave different experiences and different vibes, different food, which is a, you know, big thing for me. And then from then I was like, I'm bored of being a DJ.
Really? Already?
Yeah. I lost the love for it very quickly. Why? Because it became repetitive. Not necessarily the music, but what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Going out, pack a bag, go and play. The difference in timing. I'm doing night shifts now. I've got a child I've got family that's not really going to work, you know. I got bored of it. I thought, what do I do now? Okay, I'll start an entertainment company. How? Why? To offer services that come from entertainment. I've shown that I am able to be an entertainer. I now have a community following. People put their trust in me. Why not offer a service, right? We live in a very service-based world, whether it be products as well. And I try to collaborate to do both of them. I can offer you a product, which is myself as a DJ, and then services and entertainment, event planning, management, you know, whether it be the tech side of things, you know, audio visuals, operations, a lot of things that I'd learned in that first year. At first, didn't really go anywhere as much, but, you know, to be persistent and continue to go on, people was like, okay, he's done this, that's good. Someone said to someone, oh, he does something that's good. I'll give him a call. I created myself as a business, as a brand at that point as well. So I had an email address, etc., and a phone number where I was contactable. And from there, the evolution of it was just continue to grow. You know, I had people who I'd worked with and who I no longer work with. I saw people work in different ways when it comes to the entertainment side. I've seen people betrayal, you know, jealousy, all of these different things happen in this period of time that molded me to say, okay, why don't I apply my mind that I'd used in tech in a corporate space in the entertainment world? It can work. There's corporate entertainment as well. Yeah. But even in nightlife, there's an element of being corporate about it. There's marketing. Yeah. To be a brand, you know, there's branding. And so from then I started to build events, started to grow amongst the entertainment community. And it's very much a who you know entertainment world versus a corporate world. It has hierarchy. So starting to meet the right people in the right places.
How do you navigate that? Is it just like just putting yourself out there all the time?
I like to find a balance. I don't want to, if you put yourself out there too much, then you seem desperate. So then someone, like I know DJs that'll be hitting me up all the time. Yo, I'm free. If you're free this often, there's something that's not right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But even when I started, I didn't want to do that, hit up everyone, you know, or imagine like I approaching some of the top DJs. I've been DJing for 10 years. Like, oh, hey, if you got any work for me, why would he have work for me if he's got work for himself? You know, he doesn't have an entertainment company. How am I able to give that opportunity to others and then also include myself to build an entertainment company? So meeting with the right people, and it's a lot about respect as well. How you navigate your business and how you communicate with people, being yourself, you know, meeting people from different nationalities. How can we align? Yeah. Right, you do this. I'm not trying to take your business. I'm not trying to, but let's work together. We're a community.
Have you had some issues like on that business side of things?
I wouldn't say issues, but I said like betrayal, jealousy.
Anything you can expand upon?
I'd prefer not to, because I prefer to be professional, you know, because those people will know who I'm talking about, and I prefer them to just know that, you know, look at where I am now, and that's through continuing to be who I was in the beginning, and I never changed, you know, from that. So it's only at their loss, you know, and I only continue to plan to grow for the business as well and to grow as part of the community, and that's my ultimate goal, really. And then I got to a point where it's like, things click every now and then. How do I bring technology into
what you doing?
What I'm doing in entertainment? AI has become very prominent, right? Digital marketing. I can offer that as a service. Why? Because I also got in the background of my CV on paper that I've done these things. Project management, same as event management. Yeah, there's different types of projects that you're going to manage, but It's the same.
So, but if you have so many different things, like how do you sell yourself, or who are the best type of clients that you'd want, and what would you want to do for them?
F&B places or hotels, people who also have entertainment events happening, but may not have a team to offer, you know, and they may have someone in digital marketing, they may have the entertainers, but maybe you don't have someone on the PR side. I know how to do CRMs, you know, how to do SEO. These are different things. As like a consultant, sometimes I work as, you know, in entertainment. Sometimes people don't have equipment. I have a product for you that if you need to rent, you know, there are so many different things that can be done from entertainment, and I'm learning still now. Sponsorships, we spoke about that prior. That's also something I learned during this time. Then thinking outside the box, why does it have to stay in UAE? I want to go international, you know. There are places in the world where they're still doing traditional ways of marketing, entertainment and PR, and don't have the latest technology when it comes to AV. You know, we're now in a place where they have immersive experiences for entertainment. Like there's that place in, I think, Vegas, the Dome.
Yeah, that looks amazing.
Right, and someone who I'm quite fond of from a creative standpoint, people don't kill me, but Kanye, and he was building a university where people would be able to heal from music. That's the depth of where entertainment can take you. I hope to one day to be able to reach, like I said, I speak on community a lot. How can you do or provide all of these services? The only challenge I have at this point in time is I'm a one-man team.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, burnout must be real.
Burnout is real. The burnout is real, you know, stress, perhaps why I'm losing my hair, having children, you know, having my second child as well, you know, it does take a lot out of you. And also you want to have personal time as well, right? You want to be able to have social time, go gym, see your friends, you know, go on dates, you know, and etc. And these things are important values to me to ensure that my home is happy as well. So I have to find a balance between the two.
Because when you have those conversations with yourself and thinking about all the things that you value, do you then start thinking about like what my purpose is, what my long-term vision is?
Absolutely.
Where's your head at the moment?
Very differently from when we spoke about Arsenal. Yeah. Like now I have to continue to think about how do I develop, is this sustainable? No, it's not. Can I be working 100 miles per hour every single day? No, I can't. Building a team, creating enough capital to have a trust. I've had a team before, but a team that is working to what I didn't go for a recruitment process. It was most like people I know who do. I need to go through that, you know. So small things over time, build in a LinkedIn page, soon advertise the roles, go through interview processes to find trusted people. Here in the UK, and I mean in the Western world, away from the Middle East, you have a lot more of consulting services. You could even use Fiverr, where you could use people. I feel over there, even though you do have Fiverr, it's such different times. And that can impact business. And then also people might not understand the culture of the country. A lot of people up to today think UAE are so strict. Like if we kiss someone, I'll be in jail. Yeah, there are elements of discipline and laws there. It's things that I very much believe in. Don't be drunk in public.
Yeah, that's for sure.
People used to take that as in like, oh, I'm not going to UAE. No way I can end up in jail for don't. Because guess what? I have 2 kids now. I don't want someone being drunk in public in front of my children.
Facts.
You know, and so yeah, how do I evolve from that? And what is 5 years? Where am I in 5 years' time? Now going back to the drawing board, I'm back at tech again in my head. What do I need to do? Maybe I need to build some more capital because the company is sustaining itself, but now I need to grow. That's unless I have a big breakthrough, in which it may come, but you can't live on hope. Yeah. There needs to be a strategy in place. Yeah, you need to have a plan. And you need to have a backup plan as well. So if the business is running, that's the backup plan. But the plan would be to get enough capital. I don't want to, at this point in time, I don't want to go out to an investor. I want this to be, you know, pure. I want it to be mine, organically grown, because it includes the community. I'm not trying to make a business where I have shareholders, etc. It gets a bit complicated at that point in time. So that's really where I'm at now. Strategy, vision, and all of those things I've done in leadership roles. So now sat down, as per the business, how do I do that in mine?
And it sounds like you've made your decision as well. Like, because you're not doing the masters anymore, then it's like focusing on like growing yourself and developing the area that you want to be.
Definitely. I say 2024 is about me.
Yeah.
In terms of about prioritizing me to get to a space where I am in terms of business, mentally, physically, my family, to be in a place to travel more. I feel like being in a business and being a one-man team, you're limited.
Yeah,
even now, right now, it's peak season in UAE for entertainment and for activities, activations that's happening. I've taken a step out. I'm gonna come home and reset and come back. I actually land on New Year's Eve and I have 2 performances.
Wow.
Like just on that day, and that's how I intend to go into the new year. Not necessarily as a DJ, but as someone who's just striving for it. Like I want it all. I want it all, not because I want to be selfish. I want it all for myself. I want to give the best of myself to say I want it all and I've achieved it all by giving my all, you know, and finding balance as well in my mental space, my physical space, and my family.
No, I love that. Thank you, Lemal. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
So I've got a couple quick fire questions for you
sure.
as we run. So first question I would like to ask you is, what's a tool or like tip that you use to help with your creativity?
Life. Life has a lot of creativity in it. Don't be limited in terms of what you see as a vision. There is people like different things and you may like different things. Don't be scared to try them all. If one day you like music and you want to be creative in music, I kind of have days like that. Here's the tool. My days don't always consist of, I do one day business, one day creativity in terms of DJing, one day in terms of marketing, to be able to have a feel of them all.
Sick. What's a piece of advice that you hear people give all the time, but when you hear it, you actually think it's bad advice?
Be out there. Like put yourself out there. Yeah, that may work, but I feel like the population, when you're out there, you're just out there in mass numbers now. You can only be unique, and that may highlight you differently than just being out there. People can be out there in presence in the physical, but not necessarily show any difference to be highlighted as a person and in business.
Like that. What's a book or film or anything that you might have seen that's changed your perspective on life?
I watched one the other day. It's called In Time, with Justin
that
Timberlake.
film?
With Justin Timberlake, it's a film, and it's based on that your body has a clock here, and after 25 years, you have a countdown, and you charge your time up by money. So you can exchange. Like I say, I have like 25 mil here. I can give you half of that, but that reduces my time. And I thought that was so good to look at that. We are limited in time. And we are limited in money. So unless you find a balance, you're going to be either chasing one or the other. How do I get more time? You can't. How do I get more money? You can, but does that give you back more time? No. It gives you better quality. So finding the balance is a great quality.
I like that. And what's one piece of advice that you wish you listened to earlier?
From someone else or from myself?
From yourself.
To not trust so easily.
Interesting.
Yeah, to not trust so easily, and that be in a personal space or business space. Is that I know I'm very open, as I've said, to meeting new people, to being social, to understanding people. I'm a people's person, but sometimes you can allow yourself to be vulnerable in that space, that you allow people to get into your life from a business standpoint or personal, where it might not necessarily be right for you, and it can end up doing damage. So be selective as to who you allow in your energy space.
I like that one. And then final question, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, lpnspectrum.ent. You can find me at spectrum.ae as a website. And you can find me in probably some of the best clubs in the UAE, performing, and hopefully internationally soon.
Amen to that. Lemal, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you,
bro.
Thank
Cheers.
you.